So let's talk about the divide between the Arc Raiders community. And unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard about this somewhere. Now, the big divide is between PvE and PvP, and people are asking what the integrity of the game is supposed to be and how the developers were meant for the game to be played. And you can find debates about this anywhere. You can find things on Reddit, on Twitter. Shit, I'm even finding posts on Facebook with a bunch of old people commenting, probably thinking that we're talking about some real life event. And I wanted to give my 2 cents because I feel like as somebody who has played games for as long as I have, I can kind of relate to both sides. And here's what I think. So first thing first, I have always been a multiplayer first type of gamer. That's kind of what I like to do. I am hyper competitive and I like to shoot people in game, of course, right? So I can kind of relate to what everyone is saying about the PvP. I think as an extraction shooter, the game should be PvP, and I welcome people to fight. I am one of those people that likes to shoot on site, mainly in squads. But lately, I've been playing a little bit of solos, and people don't really shoot each other there. But I kind of get it. Like solos was a different experience from the rest of the game, and even though I didn't enjoy it more than like squads, for example, where people were kind of just taking each other out, I did make a few friends, and I even had some instances where, for example, I had I had a hatch key on me, and I was about to leave, right? So I saw this random dude looting an arc, and I was like, "Hey, bro, I'm about to take this hatch key. Do you want to go with me?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, dude, sure." And he gave me a blueprint in order to pay for my hatch key, right? For letting him get out because everybody was like shooting each other, right? So I think moments like that are pretty fun, and I get where people are coming from. I'm not somebody who hates PvE, but I do think that PvP kind of adds to the game in a way that I feel like other games do better. And what I mean by that is that if you want a hardcore extraction shooter, there are those available like Tarkov and stuff like that. But I do feel like this is a very casual extraction shooter, which is new to a lot of people, to be fair. When it comes to console, which a lot of people play, there aren't a lot of extraction shooters that are out there for them to kind of enjoy, especially for the mainstream. So this is a lot of people's first crack at a game like this, and I feel like that's why they're kind of panicking when it comes to the PvP. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think I am always going to be in the PvP side because a game like this, it's just funner like that. The devs even said themselves that the original baseline of the game, the original demo of the game, was PvE, and it got boring, right? People didn't want to play it. Even the developers didn't want to play it, which is a problem. Now, you could ramp up the arc difficulty and add more arc and all that, but eventually you're going to get so good at dealing with them that it's just not possible to make the game long-term fun. I think that's why Helldivers died out a lot. Now, a lot of people do play Helldivers still, and I'm not saying it's a bad game or anything, but that is the main problem with gamers nowadays because people just tend to be sweatier. Even people that are casual, that would be considered a casual gamer, people like the Arc Raiders players that like PvE, sometimes I go into solos, and these people will know exactly how to take down the Arc, like step by step. They'll be like, shoot this with this gun, and you can do it this quick. You can have about 6 seconds to do this. And I'm just like, bro, I don't know who's more sweaty. Me, who is like super down to aim people out and be rolling everywhere and shooting people, or the people that have all the knowledge on the arc. Like that's an equally type of sweaty, just in a different way. But I do feel like there is a sort of entitlement that comes from single player games, and trust me, a lot of games like that have a community that surrounds the game in not the most positive way. A lot of single player games, people get upset about, people want things changed, people want it a certain way. And I'm not saying it's not there for multiplayer games. If you play games like League, for example, for Valorant, people can be pretty entitled in there as well. But I feel like we have two different genres of gamers coming together for this one game. And I think perhaps there's a slight chance that the people that are coming from like Helldivers and stuff like that maybe didn't know the type of game that they were getting into, and they thought it was going to be similar to that aspect. But in reality, they're going to have to like improve at the game because humans are the only things you can't really predict. A lot of the times, getting good at a game is kind of seen as being sweaty, and I feel like being sweaty nowadays is different from being sweaty back in the day. I think the average gamer now is just a lot better at video games in general, and it's kind of hard for people to normalize that, to accept that. If you're somebody who maybe doesn't have the time to play a lot, you might not be great at the game because you just can't put in the hours that others do. That is understandable as to why you wouldn't want a PvP. But a lot of the times, the average gamer is just better. It's not necessarily that people are sweaty, they're just better gamers, right? For example, when I go into a game, sometimes I'll get like 8 or 9 kills, and people might assume that I'm just a sweaty player, but I think I'm just decent at the game. There are other players that are going to be better than me, and I'm not going to say, oh, this guy is super sweaty. He's just better than me, right? He might not even be trying as well. He's just a better gamer than I am, and that's okay. And that's one thing that people have to accept. I feel like a lot of the single player community, maybe in the past they had problems with their ego, like they just don't want to like be put against people because they don't know what it's like to lose. If you play multiplayer games a lot, I'm sure you are very used to losing. And yeah, you might tilt, but you also can kind of accept that you're just going to lose some games and there's not much you can do about it. But I feel like single player games, a lot of the time you don't have that ego effect because I mean you're not really going against anybody. And not only that, a lot of the times when I play single player games, it's very hard for me to die because the games just aren't as difficult. But not difficult in the form of like games can be hard. Obviously, if you play games like Elden Ring and stuff, they're very difficult. But you can eventually learn AI. No matter how much you think you suck at it, eventually if you play AI games enough, like PVE games enough, you'll learn the the maneuvers and all that stuff. But when it comes to people, it's not like that. Whenever you go into a multiplayer game, every single person is different, and you can kind of get good at seeing like patterns and stuff, but you can never fully guess what a person is gonna do, an actual person. And it's even gotten so bad that people are even debating that if you are somebody who kills other people in arc raiders, that you are a bad person in real life. The whole morality thing is kind of wild to me, where people are saying, "Oh, I know the type of person you are if you're insta shooting in squads, or I know the type of person you are if you want to kill me in solos." But like that's the way the game is supposed to be, and I know people are legit bringing up in-game lore like their Bible verses, trying to justify that we're supposed to be working together to kill the arcs. But I feel like that's the beauty of Arc Raiders. It's kind of like canonical, right? Like you don't have to fight people if you don't want. I'm sure there's a lot, like just like in real life, there's a lot of good people out there that wouldn't hurt other people, but there's a lot of people that are gonna do things for their benefit, right? And at the end of the day, it's a game. Like people are gonna play this game with some kind of like holier than thou moral like compass thing on other people. Oh, you're a bad person because you are insta killing in squads, or I was just trying to do quests and you shot me. Like I feel like that's such a bad like take, right? You can't be just condemning people because they want to play a video game where PvP is enticed. PvP is like a part of the game and they're participating in it, and you're just trying to shame them for it. Like that doesn't really make sense to me. And it's kind of annoying to me because I am like empathetic to a fault. I feel like I'm a really nice person, but I also feel like I'm one of the people that are gonna insta shoot on site. Maybe not in solos. I do try to follow that rule, especially if like people aren't shooting. But in squads and stuff like that, I'm insta shooting. But sometimes I choose not to shoot. Right? Sometimes you don't want to fight. Sometimes you want to talk your way out of something. There was a case in one of my videos where we were kind of surrounded by arc, and there was two different teams, and we were all gonna die. Like it was bad. We were next to like a leaper or something, or like a rocketeer, right? And I was like, you know what? Why don't we just work together? We'll go our separate ways, and we don't have to kill each other. And the other people were like, okay, that's fine. Like I'm down for that because we don't want to die either. We have some good loot. We did. We worked together. Nobody backstabbed each other, and we got out. And like that was a choice that we made, right? So we're not just like bloodthirsty all the time. We just it takes the context of the situation to decide what we're gonna do. Now, with all this being said, I'm PvP and all that. That's my side. But I also want to say that I don't condemn the whole ratty playing by the extract behavior. I do accept it because that is a part of the game. And if I want my PvP side to thrive, that is something we have to live with, right? That's something I have to kind of just accept. But I don't condemn it. I know that it can be frustrating to like be ratted out. I had a game where some guy shot me like 3 minutes into the game from a bush, and I left. I looted up the entire map. I came back like 12 minutes later, and I died from the same guy in the same bush. He never moved from that first time he saw me, right? So that can be frustrating, and I can understand. I am not shaming anybody who dislikes that. Any of the PVE players who dislike that, but that's just a part of the game, man. Like the same way that sometimes you'll get PVE players that are like in high loot areas with free loadouts, and they're just like, bro, I'm just questing, let me loot, and they take all the good loot, and I'm in solo, so I feel bad if I shoot them, so I just let them have it. But they know exactly how to get there. They're kind of like like the sweatier, like casual players that know where all the good loot is and all that. But I let them have it because it's solos, and that's the social contract that most people have. So I try to follow it. But that's the same thing. Like they expect all this loot just to be given to them, and for people not to want it, right? Same thing for whenever you're in solos and everyone fights like a big arc, and everyone just immediately mops up all the good stuff, and they just leave you with like the arc alloy and like the arc cells, like the stuff that's kind of lesser and not like the leaper units or stuff like that. So they know there's two sides to it. But at the end of the day, I think that there is a perfect mixture to this game. I think PvE and PvP are a part of it. But as much as you try to say that it's not like we're not meant to PvE, like yeah we are. Like okay, like don't kid yourself. I know you don't like the PvP, but don't lie to people, man. Like it at the end of the day, PvP is supposed to be in the game. Now whether you choose to participate in it or not, or to participate in it or not, is up to you. But that's the beautiful part. You don't have to like participate if you want to be a diplomat and talk to people, that's fine. But I mean, you are also putting yourself at risk. The same way that you're putting yourself at risk every time you get into a gunfight, you risk losing and just dying and losing everything. There's a risk to everything. So at the end of the day, enjoy the game the way you want to enjoy it, and stop yucking people's yums, man. If people want to play the game a certain way, let them. That's the way it's supposed to be.